Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down the biggest news in the sports world. We're not talking about Aaron Rodgers today, I don't think, but I know the people didn't like the Aaron Rodgers talk last time, but who cares? And you can't teach that. Bada boom. Man, the people in the room. G Money Grant Mitchell. How you doing?
I'm doing very good, Tanner. I would disagree. I think the people loved the Aaron Rodgers talk. I mean, we got a lot of views, we got a lot of watch time, we got some comments, so it was good for us. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Love that. Love the views, love the comments. If you're shitting on us, keep shitting on us because you comment and that's good for the algorithm and it just keeps it going. Like, that's what people don't understand too. Like, probably the biggest thing if you hate something is to not comment on it because then it doesn't circulate unless people are commenting already. But if you start commenting and you start the comment war, you're causing it to circulate, giving us more views. So thank you.
Yeah, there was one guy who left 3 separate comments to disagree with us on 3 separate points, and okay, thank you. You disagreed with us, but you are helping us getting more views. And to that guy, if you are watching, like, we do appreciate you being here. You know, we're shitting on you right now, but we hope you stick around. We are trying to entertain everybody, and we want to have conversations with people in the comments. But like Tanner said, if you don't like us, then you're only helping us if you leave comments.
Yeah, shout out to the dude who left 3 comments disagreeing with on 3 different points because you watched the entire show, which is awesome. We love that. If you watch the whole show, like you're one of us now.
He's riding, Tanner.
He's riding. He's riding. We're riding into the weekend too here on Ride the Line. Before we talk about the World Series and everything else going on in the sports world, make sure you subscribe to the channel, comment, share, do it all, get this thing to the moon, and check out WSN.com. And Grant, why should they check out WSN.com?
Well, if you're here, it's probably because you are a sports bettor or you're at least a sports fan. And you know what? You can't watch sports without seeing advertisements for sports betting companies and sites. So if you go to WSN.com, you're going to get promo codes, which help you win more prizes with sports betting. We got betting picks over there. We got game previews, analysis, betting trends, all that stuff, plus the latest and breaking news in sports and the sports betting industry. So go over there. It's like a one-stop shop for everything you'll possibly need.
There you go. So we have the World Series beginning tonight, game 1. It's going to be Jack Flaherty against Garrett Cole. We're not really talking game to game here, just an overall look at this series as a whole. I'm going to be on the Dodgers. I think offensively, they have a slight advantage there with the bottom of the order, especially like the top of the order really has to deliver for the Yankees for them to get the job done here. When it comes to starting pitching, I would lean towards New York. However, I don't think it's going to be enough to beat Los Angeles. So I think Dodgers in 6 is the favorite right now when it comes to exact games. I might push it and say Dodgers in 5, but I do think the Dodgers ultimately win this series. Grant, how you feeling about the World Series?
Well, I can remember maybe like 3 or 4 months ago, I put together one of those 7, 8-leg futures parlays, 25 cents wins $1 million. And I had the New York Liberty and I had the New York Yankees on it. I had I had the big city. So based off of that, I'm rooting for the Yankees, although I haven't looked at that parlay in months. I think it might have been cooked at some point anyway. Based on that, I want to root for the Yankees, but I'm with you. I think the Dodgers are going to win this. I agree with what you said. Bottom of the order for the Dodgers has been really good. Like players like Edman and just random guys have been stepping up. You don't see that with the Yankees as much. Garrett Cole also, although he is on the bump here, if you've been watching the Yankees throughout the playoffs, opposing batters have been getting the bat on the ball against him, and they've been getting solid contact off of him. So the Yankees might not have as much of a pitching advantage as it looks like. And honestly, I think going into the season, we would have said the Dodgers maybe would have the pitching advantage, but they had to go to a bullpen game recently. I think both teams have their strengths, but I'll go with the Dodgers.
Now, do you look at the strength of schedule like coming into this? I would say like the Yankees getting to the World Series was almost a lock just because of they played the Royals and the Guardians, and those teams are not necessarily the strongest. The Dodgers, they've been battle tested. They had to go through the Padres, who many thought were going to win the World Series at one point. They were the favorite when they were up a game on the Dodgers. And then they had to play the Mets, who were the hottest team in baseball. I think that helps you at this point in the World Series, where the Yankees, now you're coming into a brick wall where you've been able to run through everyone with ease. Now you're finally going to have some resistance. And I think the Dodgers being battle tested has helped them at this point. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the Yankees are also viewed as front runners a little bit more than some of the other good teams in baseball. The Dodgers, maybe you can categorize them because they come into the year favored to win the World Series every year, and they haven't really delivered on that. But I think they've shown more resilience, and especially in this playoff run. Granted, the Yankees haven't needed to show it because they have just been flat out better than the teams they've faced. Like, look at the payroll differences between them and the Guardians. They were supposed to win that series pretty much no matter what happened. They didn't even need to be at their best to win it. But the Dodgers, games like those, series like those, like you mentioned, the Padres, the Mets, two of the hottest teams in baseball since the All-Star break. That's what sets you up for this playoff run. So you're playing well and you've been resilient so far. It definitely gives you the advantage going into the biggest series of the year.
Ratings will be through the roof. That's for sure. Ohtani, Judge. This is what they wanted the entire time. All the commercials were like Shohei and Aaron Judge. That's all they wanted. So
how do you feel about the little score bug at like the bottom of the games? That's 7 batters until Shohei Ohtani. That's
pretty funny. Yeah. Again, I kind of like it because it shows me when they have a chance of scoring runs, especially when they were down 6 runs at times. And it's every game in the playoffs pretty much for them, at least in the Mets series, was a blowout. It was either a blowout win or a blowout loss. So I do like that because that shows me when they can actually score some runs. Since I'm on the Dodgers here, I want to know when Shohei Ohtani is coming up. Now, tonight, when Shohei Ohtani steps into the batter's box, like this moment for Major League Baseball, they are going to capitalize on this so much tonight.
They need to. I'll say that. Major League Baseball it's America's pastime, but the emphasis in that word is past. NFL is king. NBA is the prince. We know MLB is third, but it's a pretty far margin. And if you look at some of these other sports out there, like the NHL, I think they've fumbled somewhat, but they have Connor McDavid. They're trying to make the guy. The WNBA, obviously, they've got Caitlin Clark. Again, baseball was so prominent, but it's faded. You've made moves to try to get yourself back at higher ratings. You got rid of the shift, you added the pitch clock, all these things to make it more watchable and raise the entertainment value. If Shohei Ohtani can go out there and deliver and, win MVP and you're able to market it successfully, then that could give the league a shot in the arm for the next few years.
Yeah, definitely. I think Ohtani, this series is going to do numbers no matter what, because you have Ohtani, because you have Judge. You're not playing so you're playing Friday, Saturday, so you're not playing on NFL Sunday. Then you go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday Night Football this week is Giants Steelers. I think the World Series, if it was a tight series, would probably do more numbers than that game, but I could be wrong about that. And then you go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're off Thursday, and then you play Friday, Saturday. So they scheduled it perfectly.
So I have the World Series MVP odds up in front of me. I think you'll be able to get this, but I'm looking at the top 5. Do you think you can guess them in order?
Ohtani, 1, right?
Yep.
Judge, 2.
Yep.
I'm gonna say since the Dodger it's a Dodger next, right?
It's actually not. It's actually not.
So it's Juan Soto then.
Yep.
Then it's a Dodger.
Yes.
Mookie's
5th.
Mookie's 5th. So 4 would be maybe Garrett Cole because he's going to pitch a few games.
It's actually Stanton.
Yeah, Stan. I should have got that. I think Stan should be over. Stan's probably going to have the best series of all these Yankees because he's built for the playoffs. I think Judge is expected to perform, and like if the Dodgers win, you're going to have a hard time not giving it to Shohei Ohtani. So I think that's what's reflecting that in the odds market, just because they want to give it to Shohei Ohtani more than Mookie Betts. For the Yankees, I guess you can get away with giving it to Aaron Judge or Juan Soto. Like either of those, I think are interchangeable. You'd rather give it to Judge, and then Stanton, if he just performs, he's got to get it.
Yeah, this is like you know what this is like? This is like Jaylen Brown winning the Finals MVP over Jason Tatum because it was a situation where you could afford to do that. And then you look at the Los Angeles Lakers when they were in the bubble. Anthony Davis was arguably the best player on the Lakers during the playoffs, but it's like LeBron was right there. And if it's a 48-52 and LeBron's got the 48, well, he's getting the MVP. So that's kind of what you're looking at here. Dodgers, if Shohei is decent, maybe he's not the clear-cut best, but if he's decent, he's going to win it. And then for the Yankees, Soto had that great moment in the last series. So if he comes out and he's, one of the best players on the team, then there's a very good chance he wins it.
Yeah. I mean, as big of a star as Aaron Judge is, Shohei Ohtani is 10 times bigger of a star than him in today's game, just with the amount of international appeal you get from him and how Major League Baseball wants to push him. So if Dodgers win, I think it has to go to Ohtani. It's probably not worth playing that though in my mind. I just would rather go minus 115 for a series price rather than plus 200. He's plus 200, right?
Yeah, it's Ohtani plus 200, Judge plus 400, Soto 500, Stanton 800, Mookie 900, and then Max Muncy plus 1,000.
And like Muncy's not going to win it, even though he's been very good. So it should be a good series. I'm excited for it. Did you see, before we move on, speaking of LA sports, did you see NBC Sports Boston just shitting all over your Los Angeles Lakers for their Mickey Mouse title?
Oh, I did see that.
That
Yeah.
was pretty funny. Yeah, that was good.
It was pretty convenient. They left out that they won 13 titles when there were only 8 teams in the league. So, it is what it is.
The Mickey Mouse title.
Yeah, the 13 titles Boston had against no competition.
But the C's are back, Grant. And we're going to talk about so much NBA on this show moving forward. But
yeah, they look really good, man. This is what I said. I'm going to give myself credit. That game 1 performance, maybe you're right that the dynasty is here and that was proof of it, but it's also what I said. I said the Celtics have created a system that is conducive to long-term winning. They have figured out that you've got to take as many threes as possible. There used to be some sort of limit in the past. We thought it was like 45, 50 threes, which was still a ton, but maybe too much. Boston goes out and they shoot 60, and they've got guys everywhere who could do it. Sam Hauser is just as important in some ways as Derek White. Derek White's a better player. He'll play more minutes. But as far as being able to execute the system, be able to fit the role and everything, they've just got a team and a style that is, it's not luck. You're not relying on one player to be great every day. You've got a system that's going to win in the long run.
I don't know who can beat them in a 7-game series. When you look at just basketball right now, and I know they're plus 310, I don't know who can take them down if they stay healthy, of course. But even if they don't even have Porzingis right now, and they're still crushing it.
Yeah, that's the scary part. And I mean, Al Horford's not going to play back-to-backs, so you might see some off nights from them because they're not going to have a center. Like they're going to be starting Neemias Queta or Luke Cornett, I guess. So from that perspective, you're going to see some bad performances, but at the same time, that's without 2 of their 6 best players. Once you get to the playoffs and they're back, I don't know that somebody's going to need to step up and do something. I don't think it's going to be the Nuggets. I think that team's gotten worse ever since they won the championship. Part of that's because their general manager went to the Timberwolves. I am interested to see what the Timberwolves do because I trust Tim Connolly. He built the Nuggets. He built the Wolves. I like Anthony Edwards. The Julius Randle trade initially was a head scratcher to me, but we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, right now, Boston is clearly ahead of the field. It's up on somebody to rise up and make this run that we don't currently see.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll be talking plenty of NBA on the show about the Boston Celtics, your future 2025 NBA Finals champions. But anyways, Grant, we got some other stuff to talk about. Thursday Night Football. Interesting game last night. Now, who are you on? Minnesota or LA?
So I've got to be honest here. I'm in charge of writing previews, spread picks, and previews for every single game. I put that out on Monday or Tuesday, and I had the I had the Vikings written down. And I balanced the fact that it was one team flying across the country on a short week. I was like, the Rams are so injured. Once I heard Puka Nacua was playing, once I heard Cooper Kupp was playing, and then also I became privy to the fact that teams after playing the Lions were 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread, and had failed to cover by an average of 26 points, I had to switch to the Rams. So I'm sorry to the WSN audience. I'm just being honest. None of that stuff, I couldn't have seen that stuff beforehand. So after I did, I was like, this is a bad spot for the Vikings. And then again, the short week, the travel, you just played the Lions who were overly physical. I didn't know if the Rams were going to win, but I did think they would be able to keep it close. And ultimately it was 30-20 and they end up winning at home.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was on the Vikings originally. Like in my mind, I'm like, the Vikings probably win this football game. I bet the Rams to win. But the only reason I bet the Rams to win was because the line was 2.5, and I was looking through the numbers, and I'm like, the Rams have covered once against the spread. They've won 2 games this season. They're not good in any facet of the game, really, when you look at stats compared to the Vikings. And then the line dipped back towards them, and 90% of the money and bets were on Minnesota. So I'm like, Rams probably win this game just because of the line movement and the spread and how tight it is. But as far as like a stat last night, if you said there was a stat indicating, besides the Lion stat, but just like purely on field stat that says the Rams are going to win this football game, you're 100% lying.
Yeah, that's what makes it so tough too sometimes is whether it's actual betting or just delivering takes about sports. Some of the stuff you believe you've got to believe in it. You have to believe in yourself because there might not be information to back up what you're saying. It's just I've seen sports long enough. This happens in this situation. This team fired their coach. They're going to come out this way. Like I believe in this guy, this person coming back from injury, whatever it might be. You've got to believe in some things that you can't see sometimes.
Yeah, and last night was one of those, like when the line dips back towards the other side, when there's a ton of money on that the side's not moving towards, that's my indication that I got to go with the other side. And also Puka being back, Cooper Kupp being back, Matthew Stafford. And I do think the Vikings are a fake good team. Like they're good, don't get me wrong. They are not anywhere close to a Super Bowl contender. Sam Darnold is not that guy. Defensively, it was really concerning how Kyren Williams ran all over them last night, because that was one thing that I never would have thought happened in that game, was Kyren Williams blowing up and playing really well. Just because Minnesota's been really good against the run this season, they weren't last night. Nothing went right for them. You could tell at halftime, it's like, since the Rams are in this game, it's probably not going to go well for Minnesota.
Yeah, and Darnold, to his credit, I'm with you. Darnold's not going to win the Super Bowl, but he did play well in this game. I think the Kyren Williams thing was a product of Cooper Kupp being back, Puka Nacua being back, short week, fly across the country, and again, the Lions' physicality taking its toll on you. If you play this game again a week from now, I don't think it does look the same. And you know what? Maybe the Vikings win, but I don't think they blow the Rams out. And for a team that, like the Rams, who were 2-4, the Vikings were 5-1. That's kind of what you would expect, given how well the Vikings have been playing up to this point. The Sam Darnold is going to turn the ball over again. He was good last night, but I don't see it. I don't see him continuing this MVP charge. Brian Flores' defenses have been good in the past, but they have been figured out to a certain extent as the season has progressed. So we'll see what happens.
I don't think Justin Jefferson caught a ball in the second half, did he? Not many.
He might have had one or two, but yeah, he wasn't very active.
You want to know the props I had in this game? Pretty proud of myself.
Okay, let's hear it.
Stafford over 33.5 attempts.
I had Stafford interception.
Okay. So, but for me, you hit that earlier. I'm talking about this hit like.
Oh, he had 34.
He had 34, yeah. So that hit, and he had it too, is I'm like, unless the Vikings drive the field here and take the lead or tie it up at that point, I think tie it up. Yeah, because that was the drive before they punted. I'm like, he's not going over this. They're not throwing the ball once. And they shouldn't have thrown the ball in that play because Cooper Kupp went out of bounds. And then I also had Justin Jefferson over his yards, which wasn't as cool. But Stafford over 33.5 completions was a fun one.
This was dumb, I guess. I had Jefferson under his yards because I just thought the team was going to be tired. But Justin Jefferson's too good. He's so clearly the best receiver in football. I get Jamar Chase might be the yardage guy, and Tyreek was the yardage guy last year, and maybe he doesn't catch the most touchdowns in the league. He's so much better than everybody else.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson's catch last night, the one hand down the sidelines where he was bobbling it, that was unbelievable.
Yeah, he just that catch against the Bills. You remember that with Kirk Cousins on 4th and 17, where he one hands it in the middle of triple coverage, like. That solidified it for me, and I've seen nothing to convince me since then that he's not the best.
Yeah, totally agree there. You ready to move into Sunday, Grant?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so we got a couple big games on Sunday. Decent slate. I think the college slate this week's better, but people like talk about the NFL, I think, more than college on this podcast, at least.
You know where I'm going tomorrow?
Where? Oh, you're going to Blacksburg.
Yeah, I'm going to watch Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech.
Is that a big game? Is that even a ESPN? Is that ESPN Plus, Grant?
I have no idea what it's going to be. Honestly, I didn't look since I am going. It's a noon game
on national TV, Grant.
No, it's not. It's gonna be fun though. I'm getting so mad with my school, man. For the last 3 years, we've gotten better every year, but we've had the same problem. We always start the season so slow. And then we hit the midway point. And it's like, wow, these guys are good, but it doesn't matter at that point. We can't get to the conference championship. We can't get to the college football playoff. We can't even probably get to the top 25 in the ranking. So who really cares? But I'm going to support my team.
Did you hear that UConn plays Rice tomorrow? Homecoming game, 3:30. Big kick on CBS Sports tomorrow.
So I knew this because if you remember when the NCAA college football video game came out, I did a dynasty with Houston in my online league. Rice was, or I guess is, Houston's top rival. So I have alerts on my phone for Houston and Rice. And so I did see that they were playing UConn.
Homecoming game to over 4.5 wins. This is the big one. They got to lay it on the line for the bettors tomorrow, because last week they shouldn't have beat Wake Forest last week. Who am I kidding? But they were in the game. This is the one. This is a must win. 6.5 point favorite. Come out. Leave no doubt. You guys are going over 4.5 wins tomorrow.
Well, they still have what, like 3-4 games left?
They have 5 games, so they need to win 1 in their next 5. They have 6. They might have 6 games left. No,
I mean they've got UMass, so they should be fine.
Yeah. And UMass has to play Tennessee on the road the week before. So, but I don't want it to come down to UMass. They have 5 games: Rice, Georgia State, UAB, Syracuse, UMass. I mean, they're probably going to be favored in 4 of those 5 games, I would think. If they were,
I mean, Syracuse, they won't be favored, obviously.
That's the one they won't be favored on the road. But they were a favorite over Wake Forest at home last week. So
were they really?
Yeah, they were -2 against Wake Forest, which was crazy. But they were -2 there. Rice, they will be a favorite against Georgia State. I know people don't love the UConn talk on here, but who cares?
I get Georgia State and Georgia Southern confused. I think State is the worst of the two.
Georgia State did beat Vanderbilt this year, but they also they barely beat Chattanooga. They lost to Georgia Southern. They lost to Old Dominion. They lost to Marshall. So I would think they'd be favored over them at home. UAB, is UAB good this year? That's Dilfer's team.
They're okay, I think.
They got beat 44-10 by Army. They're not beating UConn.
Army's a juggernaut. Okay.
Army is a juggernaut. I'm not disrespecting Army, but when you look at the spreads, UConn has been favored by about the same amount over common opponents that Army has been. So I would think that UConn could beat UAB.
They probably can. They'll win one more game before the season's over.
They're bowling this year. Is Virginia Tech bowling this year?
I mean, we have to. We're 4-3. We're on the upward trajectory. I actually don't even know. I would assume we're favored over Georgia Tech this weekend. Yeah. And I mean, at that point, you just need one more win. So yeah, we'll definitely be bowling, but that's not the. No offense to UConn, that's not the expectation for us. Like, we wanted higher and we already failed.
I know. For us, I think it means more to exceed expectations than it does to fall short of expectations. Right? Go Huskies.
Yeah, and I mean, UConn, you know what? You've got enough. You've got the national titles in basketball, so
they're not going to win one this year, though. I don't think. Maybe it's a lot. You're asking a lot to win 3 in a row in college.
You are, but it's almost like what I was just saying with the Celtics with their system. UConn's system, which is just the coach Hurley, he is running laps around everybody. The offense he runs, his team is so far ahead of college. I don't say this because I think I could do a better job than college coaches, because I don't know what it's like to structure practices and to implement systems and concepts and stuff like that. But as far as actually just watching the game, he makes college coaches look stupid. Seriously, he is just so far ahead of them. So they have a chance.
Well, and honestly, too, like looking at the Celtics, Joe Mazzulla, I'm not saying he's the best coach. He got better, obviously. I'm not saying he's the best X's and O's coach, but as far as just the mindset and like, he's got these dudes ready to go to war every single game. Same thing with Hurley.
Did you hear what Mazzulla said about the floor? What it tasted like?
No, I heard about are you afraid of Boston reporters? And he's like, well, none of them are going to be at my funeral in 40 years. I was like, where do you even think of that answer?
Yeah, he also said something like, I think the question was about pressure. And he's like, why is there pressure? Nobody has a weapon or something like that. But no, so during the ring ceremony on opening night, when they're calling everybody, they're standing under the basket and they walk out. They call Mazzulla's name, takes a few steps onto the court. He bends over and kisses the floor, gets his ring, whatever. And then afterward, they said, what did the floor taste like? And he says, blood, or maybe I just wanted it to. And it's like, what? Like, this dude is crazy. He's got to go see a therapist. He wants it to taste like blood.
He's a psychopath. Yeah. So I'm going to bet the Celtics and UConn to win championships this year. I think one will hit. That would be my take. One should come through for me.
I don't hate that approach. You kind of, I mean, it's not a real hedge, but you're hedging them against each other. I think you're probably right. I think one of them wins.
One probably wins. But anyways, Grant, let's get into the NFL here. We got 2 games to talk about. Eagles, Bengals to start, 1:00 kickoff on CBS. Joe Burrow never left. He's always been back. Bengals are 0-3 at home, but defense starting to play better. They're a 3-point favorite over Philadelphia. I think they smoke the Eagles in this game, honestly. What do you think?
I don't know about smoke. I think the Bengals offense smokes the Eagles defense. I'm with you on that. I think Philly could respond because since he's had this weird problem where they were awful week 1 against the Patriots in all 3 phases. The next month, Joe Burrow and the offense is amazing. The defense is horrible. The last 2 weeks, the offense has been very but the defense has been really good. Like they have not put one complete performance together. The fact that you have seen positive signs from all of the units, I guess, is encouraging because you can do it. You just got to go out there and execute at the same time. I still don't have a lot of faith in this defense. I'm going to need to see a sustained stretch. So that's why I'm thinking, Jalen Hurts has looked a lot better with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown back in the lineup. Saquon Barkley is the Eagles MVP, and in my opinion, he should be a lot higher in NFL MVP odds. So that's why I can see the Philly offense doing something. But I don't care they held the Giants to 3 points. I don't care they held the Browns to 16. This defense has weaknesses. It kind of goes back to predicting what you don't necessarily see. Yes, what I saw the last 2 weeks was good Eagles defensive performances, but they're going against teams that were dead. Daniel Jones is not doing anything for the Giants. He hasn't thrown a touchdown at home since like 2022. The Browns with Deshaun, everybody knew they couldn't score. Now you're getting Joe Burrow, who is climbing in MVP odds. For a month there, he was the best player in the world. And even though he's no longer there, he's top 2, top 3. So yeah, I think this is a Bengals win. Probably in the neighborhood of somewhere like 4 to 7 points. But I see the Bengals being ahead the whole game.
They do have some common opponents. You have the Giants. Bengals didn't beat the Giants as well as the Eagles did, but same thing with the Browns. They beat them about the same. But when you look at like being battle tested, I think the Commanders, the Ravens are tougher opponents than anyone that the Eagles have faced recently with the Falcons, the Saints. Bucs, don't get me wrong, it's a good football team when they were healthy and they did it on the road. But overall, I think the Bengals have been much more battle tested. And they've performed better offensively than the Eagles. The Eagles still haven't scored in the first quarter. That's concerning if you're going into this game against a juggernaut offense.
The Eagles' performances overall have just not been impressive. You beat the Packers in week 1. Good for you, but it is week 1. Weird stuff happens. And then it was in Brazil. It was the first game ever. Like there was talk about you couldn't wear green because it's divisive for the gangs and it's a security risk. You're not allowed to leave the hotel. So I honestly don't even care that happened. You lose to the Falcons because you choked to Kirk Cousins in prime time, which is supposed to never happen at home. You score 15 points against the Saints. I know there were a bunch of injuries, but really that only happened because Dallas Goedert caught the longest pass of his career on blown coverage. You get blown out by the Bucs the next week. Off of a bye week, you beat the Browns by 4 points. Big whoop. And then again, yes, you dominated the Giants, but it's the Giants. Nobody has any respect for them. So there has not been one good performance in a win or in a loss aside from that Giants game. And I just don't care about the Giants.
Yeah, me either. Not one bit. Bengals win. Bengals keep marching towards the playoffs. They're now minus 120, I think, to make the playoffs.
They were minus 170 to miss it like a week ago. So, I mean,
they are to make it right now. They are minus 120. Yep, to make it.
The AFC is not as hard as we thought. 9 wins might get you a wild card spot.
Yeah, there's nobody in the back half of the AFC is not as good as the back half of the NFC. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's what we said. That's what we said on the last show, right? Because if you're looking at the contenders, it's very clearly Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Texans, maybe in the second tier under that. From the NFC, the only team that's on that level is the Lions, maybe the 49ers, although I don't think so. But then as far as the rest of the teams, like who's in tier 2, who's in tier 3, that's where it's really dominated by the NFC.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, one more game to talk about here. We're moving into Sunday night football, I believe. It's Sunday. Yep. Dallas, San Francisco, 8:20 NBC. Must win for both sides here. I think I trust the 49ers to get back on track more than I do the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas has just looked uninspired this entire season. Now you got the stuff coming out too about the tours. Players are blaming the tours for the reason they're not winning football games. What's up with that?
Okay, so I'm interested to hear your take on this. We're both athletes. You played football, although I think just the fact we're both athletes that's all that matters here. If I was going to, you know what it's like when you're trying to be your best. It's physically draining, but it's 10 times more mentally draining. There's a lot of anxiety with your performance. Everything's got to be perfect. You got to stay on your diet. You got to go get your treatment done. You got to practice your hardest at practice. And then if you're behind, you got to go do extra reps. You got to get in the weight room. There's all this stuff. If I was in that place, wherever it was, my facility, my gym, my rehab center, wherever it was, if people were just coming by all the time and laughing and taking pictures and waving and trying to talk to me, and you hear tour guides, like if you're on a college campus, they're speaking into microphones, I wouldn't be able to focus. So that might not be why they are losing games, but I 1000% believe that is disrupting the process. And for athletes who are competing against the other best athletes in the world, that process is everything. So if that's thrown off, that's going to cause you to lose. So I believe it.
What does a tour get you though? Like, are you seeing players? I didn't really look into this much. I just saw it on Twitter.
So I don't know the exact details, but like they're in the team facility walking around taking pictures and everything. So yeah, like I think I heard one of the players say like people are knocking on the windows and waving at them and stuff like that.
That's kind of crazy. But also too, I get that you need to be at your best and you can't have distractions, but at the same time too, you are a professional athlete making a ton of money in what is a business, and the business needs to make money to pay you the money to play. Like Dak Prescott's contract is not just done. That money doesn't just come out of nowhere. You need to make money in other ways. This is a business. That's Jerry Jones, is a businessman. This is a way to make money for his business. So I can't necessarily fault them doing that. They probably should do it at a better time where they don't see the players as much. But when you're at the practice facility, obviously it's a lot harder.
I agree with you, but you're also turning the players into a bit of a circus show. It's like, hey, come look.
We
just bought this $60 million quarterback, so come check him out.
This is a circus. The NFL is a circus. These men are paid to perform and put on a show for people. And honestly, that's fine because they're getting compensated very well. Like if you're getting compensated as much money as you are, you need to allow the tours to go through your facility. I'm not saying it can't be a distraction, but that shouldn't be they've been doing these tours of the star for years. Why is the tour stuff just coming out now?
Well, I think everybody's just looking for reasons to panic, and the ship in Dallas is sinking. Jerry Jones is not running the team well. Dak Prescott, he says the right things at the press conferences, and he just signed the deal, but I don't think he's happy there. I don't think players really want to play there all that much anymore, especially because the contract situations for a lot of these guys are taking so long. They haven't drafted. That was one thing that really propelled them when the years they were really good was the draft, but last few years it hasn't been amazing. And I just think people are frustrated. Dallas is starting to lose games. You look around the roster, it's not that good. Jerry's not going to make good free agent decisions. So I think the bottom's coming out from under the Cowboys. Not this year, but next year, I see this being like a 6-7 win team.
And it's not Mike McCarthy's fault either. Like Mike McCarthy's a good head coach. When you look at what he's done, he's one of the best. He has one of the best regular season records out there, I think. Like just as far as winning 10 to 11 games or something a year.
I mean, yeah, the Cowboys are the only team in the league to win at least 3 games over the last, or win at least 12 games over the last 3 seasons. And for Jerry to say on his radio show or wherever he was that maybe some of the reasons they aren't performing well this year is because the offensive concepts are different. And he said Derrick Henry didn't fit their system. Were the offensive concepts fine last year when Dak was one of the top MVP candidates? He had a career high in QBR. He had 36 touchdowns, which led the league. He had 4,500 yards, which I think also led the league. It was the same offensive concepts then, same offensive coordinator, same head coach. So what are we talking about here? It's very clearly the roster is just not in a good spot. You're totally one-dimensional because you can't run the football. Zach Martin's getting old and is not playing well, and he's been your anchor on the offensive line for years. And you didn't go out and get another receiving threat to back up CeeDee Lamb. So this is all Jerry's fault, in my opinion.
I think Dan Quinn leaving too doesn't help them. I mean, Mike Zimmer he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball. There's no adjustments made. I mean, Dan Quinn was obviously a great defensive coordinator for them.
Was Mike Zimmer at Colorado with Prime last year?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't remember hearing that.
For some reason, I thought he was linked to Coach Prime. I'm gonna call him Dion. I thought he was linked to
Yeah,
Dion
he
at some
was
point.
analyst consultant. So that was a filler job. He was at Jackson State. So yeah, he went Jackson State to Colorado and now the Dallas Cowboys DC.
Well, my point there was going to be that the Colorado defense was bad last year, and it's a lot better this year. And I mean,
Maybe,
the
yeah.
best unit on that Colorado defense is the defensive line, and it's a Warren Sapp who's a Hall of Fame defensive tackle, but has never coached before. So I don't want to call into question Mike Zimmer's credentials, but maybe he's lost his fastball. Maybe that's a part of it.
Dude, football coaching must just be a drug for these guys because Mike Zimmer's 68 years old. What are you doing, man? Like you were a head coach in the NFL for 7 years. You had a lot of success. I mean, you had enough success. You've won a Super Bowl. You're 500 coach in the regular season. Like, why are you going to Jackson State in Colorado after? Like, just go out on your back.
That's like Hubie Brown. He was a coach for a long time. Then he was an analyst until he was a commentator into his 90s.
And credit to them. I mean, Mike Zimmer doesn't need the money, so he can probably go be an analyst and work for nothing. Because the analysts are not making that much, even major college levels, compared to what he was making as a head coach in the NFL. But still, it's like you're 68 years old. You gotta want to do this every day.
Well, just go get a partnership with Underdog or DraftKings, FanDuel, one of these guys. They're sponsoring anybody now.
Or go coach high school football. Go be a head high school coach.
Honestly, yeah. I've actually talked about this with my friends before. When I get to that point where I'm later on in my career and I have more free time, or once I retired, I would love to go coach a high school track team. That's something that I would like to do.
Yeah, like especially these NFL guys. Like you could get any high school job you wanted. Go coach high school. Like you don't have to teach, just go coach. But anyways, Grant, real quick, pick in this game, Cowboys or 49ers?
Oh, this is a disaster. I mean, the Cowboys are coming off a bye week. You would think that could do something for them. That said, the vibes have been so bad in that building, and they get blown out more than any good team. I'm not even sure they're a good team this year, but in the past they have been. The 49ers have owned them. I know the 49ers got a lot of problems right now. I don't know that they cover the 5, which I think the spread is, but I'll probably take that risk anyway. I think they win.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with the spread here. I think if I look at which team has less problems right now and which team do I trust more to get back on track, it's the team that's consistently been in the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship game. So I would go with the 49ers here. And it was a bad week for them. Brock Purdy turned the ball over like crazy. I don't think that's going to happen again, especially against Dallas. I think he has a lot of opportunities to make plays. And the Cowboys, if you're already blaming the tours, which have been going on for years, like I said, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, you're looking for excuses. Again, that when things like that come out, players know it's over and they're looking for reasons to save face.
Yeah. All right, Grant, take us out of here.
Everybody, that is going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. If you were new to the channel because you were here for the last video or this is your first time, whatever it is, if you haven't hit that subscribe button by now, make sure you do press it. Hit the like button as well. It helps us out tremendously. Just like last episode, get in the comment section. Let us know where you agree, where you disagree with us, and give us some picks for the weekend. We will catch you all next week on the next episode of Ride the Line.